On today's episode of Wild Takes, we're going to take you through our Wild Takes per usual, do stick taps, and take a lap. No guests today, but what we're going to do is we're going to break down this week's Minnesota Wild action, some of the news we got coming on, and give you our predictions as to where the Minnesota Wild are going to sit by the end of the week. Stay tuned. Let's go. Just got to find this ad read. I know I have it, and I always lose it. I need to just favorite it. That's what I need to do.
Did you see Timo Meier only got one shift in the third period the other night?
Strange. He plays for New Jersey now?
Oh,
Is that right?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I thought he does. He definitely does.
They got a good roster, and Timo Meier's a great player.
Oh.
Now I want to tell you about 10,000 Takes partnership with Underdog Fantasy. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get some action on sports is Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite or least favorite player's stats. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 to 5 players to fill out your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you, baby, get to take home some cold, hard cash. Use the code 10K today and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog. Once again, that's code 10K on the Underdog app, or go to www.underdogfantasy.com or click the link in the bio to get your first deposit doubled on Underdog today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Wild Takes. I am your host, Marlow. Joined with me today is going to be Zooch. Zooch, how the hell has your week been?
You know, it's been good. I don't know how I feel about being so close. This might get a little nasty in the pod today.
Yeah, I'm hoping. The unfortunate thing is I had a bit of a family issue that came up. This is being recorded ahead of time as a heads up, but so we had a bit of a family issue. Cam is not here today to produce the podcast as well too. We're being attacked by bees. We wanted to show off the full studio as well too, because where Zooch normally sits, we have just a gorgeous bubble hockey machine now inside of the studio, courtesy of Sarge. Sarge ends up editing our blogs. He's one of the funnier dudes out there, willing to put it all on the bit, as you've seen from his naked photos covered by the 10K hat. The guy is just an absolute animal and was able to bring it in here, and we're hopefully going to get some content generated around that with guests that we bring into the studio. So if you happen to listen to Wild Takes and you're a Minnesota Wild media member, you just want to come in and play some bubble hockey, you shoot us a message, slide into those DMs, get sexy with it.
You know, I was thinking yesterday, we were talking a little bit between Jack and Jake. We should do a little 10K league with that. Like do a little league where you have like 10 guys, split it in the divisions, and make content from that.
A little pod versus pod action.
Yeah,
I think that might be the play.
Yeah, I think that could be some good content.
Figure out who's the best out of all of us. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And as you guys know at home as well too, your Minnesota Wild just beat the Montreal Canadiens 5-2. It was 5-2, right?
5-2.
5-2 was the final score. If you guys don't know, like I said, we're recording this ahead of time. We're recording this on Tuesday. Minnesota Wild play tonight. Unfortunately, we can't get this podcast live until Thursday. So game highlights from the Montreal game. Marc-Andre Fleury played
stood out of his head.
Out of his mind. You see that one save? It was like early in the second.
Yeah.
Backdoor. Kirby Dach is out. So it was Gallagher.
Or Cole Caulfield, I think it might have been.
It was Cole.
Maybe Goldfield there.
Yeah, he ended up like dangling himself around John Merrill, but Fleury came up
huge stick save, I believe.
Yeah, right off the knob of the paddle.
I think so.
We watched the game. This is the reaction. So the Minnesota Wild obviously took on Montreal Canadiens. Like I said, this is ahead of time. I think they're going to win the game. Like, we don't need a bullshit anymore. The Wild should take that one home. Kirby Dach is out. Matt
we
Boldy
are playing
is out.
11-6. We are down a man, but you know what that means? More Kaprizov on the ice. Let's get him going. Let's get him a couple Genos tonight. I think it'll be good for him.
Yeah, which I think so. Going up in this episode as well, too, we're going to preview the Thursday game, or as you guys are listening to it, tonight's game, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the game on Saturday as well, too, because your Minnesota Wild end up taking on LA, and they end up taking on Columbus.
Fiala's coming back home.
Ooh, it's going to be crazy.
Faber against his the team that drafted him, too, so they get to watch him.
It's going to be a lot of revenge games, essentially, but that's, I think, where we can dive into our Wild Takes right off the bat, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
I'm going to give you mine.
Okay.
My Wild Take is that the Minnesota Wild will Brent Burns Brock Faber. he will play on the offense here at some point, because one of the things I wanted.
The cap situation is just dire.
Screwed. It is so bad. Even
bad.
Russo made comments about how like Dakota Mermis, unless he can jump up and play forward, the Wild are dropped. There's nothing. There's
We can't. We literally can't. We talked about preseason. Sammy Walker, Kyra, and all these guys. It's like, wow, we got this depth of players that if someone gets injured, we're fine because these guys can set up or step up and play. And now it's like we can't even call them up. We can't even afford them.
Yeah, sure enough, there is absolutely nothing. And then like one of the comments I ended up seeing, they were talking about how Boldy like still counts against the cap. So like they can't call it before. They literally cannot do anything right now. So I think that's gonna be the only thing they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to take Brock Faber, probably our best offensive weapon right now.
Him or Addison.
Yeah, and he did end up scoring 2 goals in the Montreal game, as you guys saw as well, too.
Kaprizov 2, Faber 2, and then Addison 1.
Addison 1. Now he's playing on the top unit. And so, but anyways, this thing is one thing. Brock Faber, I need to compliment him really quick.
Okay.
Like, I was going to put it as a stick tap, but I decided against it. I love the fact that how hard he cuts to the net. It's one of those things where he can carry it down low. He's got the wheels for it. He's great on his ankles. He's great on those transitions. He's able to just cut to the net. He's done it 3 times already.
Dude, he set up the Rossi goal.
Yeah.
Rossi should be giving him a little. He should be stick tapping Faber as well. I mean, it was the cut to the net, and that was the part of the game where Wild fans were like, he doesn't play any offense. It's like, oh, okay. And college hockey's a lot different. Like those guys, his job on that team is being a shutdown defenseman. On the Wild, he's going to be forced to do a little bit more, and we're seeing that. I think it was World Hockey Report when we made the trade was like, wow, they traded for a defenseman with a career of like 30 points in college. I'm like, okay.
And that was
it doesn't make any sense.
It shocked me. So that's funny is I looked at the stat line when I was pulling up like the whole like Brock Faber thing. I was like, I couldn't believe he scored. I'm going to say this very loosely. This isn't a knock on him, to be very, very clear. I was shocked at how little amount of points he had because I expected way more. And so now, in hindsight, it kind of makes sense why people were like, Billy G sucks, fire him right now, get him out of the organization. What
especially people who didn't watch the Gophers. Like, if you watched the Gophers, you knew right away, you're like, yes, okay, we got a stud. And, I mean, the picture with him behind Kaprizov cheering for the Wild, it's amazing. And now he's on the ice with them, so...
Yeah, homebred boy. I was also shocked as well too. Like I looked through his elite prospects after I dogged elite prospects, and I think in like episode 1,
yeah, you did.
I was looking through elite prospects. I couldn't believe like it was one of those things where I'm like homegrown, never left Minnesota. By the way, I'm gonna work on a shirt to get a Brock Faber shirt in the store because he's great. I always said that like he's never played anywhere else. I told my wife that, and I was like, I might be lying, so I had to go look it up. He legitimately outside of the U.S. national team hasn't played anywhere else besides
it was
Minnesota.
Maple Grove and then Minnesota and then
even like some of like the I don't
remember
Thielen
bit
junior team or whatever it was, but he was even still playing in Minnesota as well too. Like all throughout, it blows my mind that he's never even left.
Just homegrown.
Great for the kid. We love to see it. Like that's one thing that Minnesotans love to tie. I mean, you see it with Adam Thielen. We've seen it in the past with Thomas Vanek. We've seen it where people love their Minnesotans, especially Minnesotans, because we love to brag about the fact that we are the state of hockey, and it's nice to have some a little bit like you can validize that if you have a stud player up and coming in the organization.
That's why the Star Series was so funny. It's like your best players from Minnesota, guys.
Yeah, shut up.
You're like, not the state of hockey. Okay, we'll take Ottinger back. I mean, we'll take Gus Ott.
Which is what sucks is I want to hate on Dallas. We beat them in the preseason. Not a big deal. We beat them in the preseason, but they have such a... I don't want to turn this into a Stars episode or whatever because we're not playing them this week, but they have such a stacked roster.
They do.
And on top of that, too, Ottinger, absolute beautician. The guy is a stud.
I hate to say it.
It stinks, but what are you going to do, right? Dallas is just looking great.
They look great. They are older, so I'm hoping that those guys play a lot of games. Come by the end of the season, they're a little worn out.
That's going to be the key piece to it. It's almost like, it sounds stupid, and you can't plan for this. You almost need every team on their schedule to just play them physically. If you play them physically, you don't have to worry about a whole lot.
Because we saw that in the playoffs last year.
You'll get beaten down and they'll get tossed around. Going to your let's to mine, obviously. Brent Burns, he's got to play forward at some point because he has an offense. I did also hear, I don't want to go away from this, but speaking on the point of putting Brock Faber at forward, I did actually see somewhere, and I don't know how accurate this is, that Addison has played wing before.
He has.
In his youth?
Well, I think he played a little bit last year. They jumped him up, and he played wing a little bit, like for a few games. Because last year, we had the same issue.
Yeah.
I mean, this cap strap, it's got to stop. I think we have one more season of it next year.
Cam, if Addison makes the jump up, I want you to edit this entire part out. Just put Addison's name in there. I'll use the voice part. Kalen Addison. Just put that over the top of it. No one will know. It'll sound the same.
It just comes in. Yeah, I think Kalen Addison.
It's almost like they'll leave the message after the beat. Kalen Addison. Oh my
God. My wild take is actually one of the dumber ones I've ever done because I don't think it can happen. But I think the Wild go big fish hunting. Big fish hunting. Ooh. Wow, that's a terrible term. But I think they get a big fish this year. I think Billy G's kind of sick of doing the same old, and they're going to make it work. They're going to find a way to do it. These injuries, I mean, all it takes is one guy going on LTIR for you to be able to pull the trigger on
As
someone.
Tampa Bay has proven for the past 7 years.
Vegas last year. I mean, Jesus.
That you can manipulate that. The hard part is when you get to the point where you're like, can we fake, maybe is the better term. Can we fake an injury long enough to push it out towards playoffs without needing that player in our lineup to make it into playoffs? That's like the pain in the ass part of it.
It's like you got your big Boldy's hurt right now. You're not doing that with him.
Nope.
He needs to be back immediately.
Yep.
I mean, Goose, he doesn't make that much. So if you put him on LTIR, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, so, which he's out, by the way.
Like I said, it's a dumb one. It's kind of just speculation. But I don't know. Billy G showed us some crazy things. He's done some weird things. And I think this might be the year he finally goes, you know what? I'm sick of seeing the same old, 100 points, first-round exit. Let's get a guy in that top 6 that can help us.
Now, to stem off that, because we have a lot of filler. We have no guests today on today's episode. So I want to go into that a little bit deeper as well, too. My big question is, first off, what are you going to give up? I'm going to ask you this question. Two questions to this. We'll do this. What are you going to give up, first off, to get a piece? Of course, it matters what the piece is, so you can't give me a direct answer.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, one question. I keep flipping back and forth. One question. If you had to cut a forward off of this roster today to open up cap space to get something else, who would you do? I would ask you a defenseman, but I think we have an obvious two answers.
I feel like, I hate to say it because he played well for us down the stretch, but I feel like Johansson would be the first guy.
Ooh.
I'd be like, yeah, see ya, dude.
And I like how he's playing with Boldy and everything.
I do too, but I feel like you can find a better guy. If they were, like I said, if they decided to do this, Johansson would be the odd man out because I feel like you put a winger on his line. Because you got Zuccarello, I think that first line, everyone's probably going to fucking sewer me for this, but that Hartman in between those two is not that bad of a line. I think you can get it done with that line. I think Boldy needs a legitimate winger to kind of jumpstart. We saw it with Fiala.
Yeah.
Jesus, man, that line was insane.
Whereas Johansson's a Kmart version of Fiala. It's probably the best way.
That's a great way. Like
I mean that in a sincere sense as well, too.
Yes.
So I know
Fiala's a fantastic player, so that's not really a knock.
And I know Marcus Johansson listens to Wild Takes podcast, so I don't want to dummy him too hard or anything like that. But that's how I feel about it. I agree with you, though. I think I like that play, but I do like how Boldy does play with Johansson. I think they tend to bounce off of each other very, very well. I think in the stretch, we're going to see that that's actually a pretty solid connection between the two. And we probably won't waver too much. But I don't know. That's a great question.
Trade would be happening later in the year. I mean, we're talking trade deadline. But, I mean, a lot of things can happen. Johansson hasn't stayed the healthiest in his Wild tenure either. So
no, that's very true, including an injury in Game 2. Luckily, he came back.
He came back.
But I think it was Game 2. Or was it Game 1?
It was Game.
It was his wrist.
No, it was last. It was the last game. Yeah,
game was Montreal. Remember, we won 5-2.
Right. Yes, we won 5-2. That's right. Yeah. So it was our second game against Toronto, I think.
I would answer that question personally, the one I just asked you about who I've cut out this roster. But I'm of the firm belief that if you don't give answers, you can't be held accountable. So I just asked the controversial stuff to get clips to share, and I'm going to cut it right. Like I would cut Johansson today. I'm not even going to put the question part in there. I'm just going to put you on the spot and make you look like an asshole. Get rid of him, and then I'm going to dub your voice in the Kmart version of Fiala.
Well, I feel like. You're not cutting Duhaime or Dewar. That fourth line is a good fourth line. It's a good fourth line. And I mean, Rossi's played a good first couple games. He's showing us something. And he got a chance to play a lot with Kaprizov in the Montreal game. So he got his time to play with a legit winger. So
it's just more so a matter of can he sustain what he's been able to accomplish so far. I think he could definitely still do a little bit more. That's not a knock on him again as well, too.
You're the 9th overall pick. And
yeah.
we had high hopes.
I want we've talked about this before. I don't want to be no. This is where I'm going to get in trouble because I was about to say like I don't have the most amount of faith in Rossi, however you say his name, in this Wild organization. And I've been very vocal about that in private chats, not so much in the public. But I'm optimistic, and maybe more so. Here's the way I'll word it. I'm not optimistic. I'm hopeful that I'm wrong and that he can be a key piece and a key contributor in the stretch here. But there's only one way to find out, and that's by continuing to play him in the spot that he is, if not elevate him a little bit as well too.
I just don't love Foligno on his line. But again, where else is Foligno going to play?
Yeah,
it's just you're not putting Foligno with Boldy. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the piece with that is it's like Boldy can hold his own in a physical. We've seen him in board battles. We've seen him on the half wall. He's going to draw penalties.
Yeah.
One thing I like about Boldy as well too is that he's small enough to draw penalties, but he's strong enough to be able to withstand those tough areas.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if Rossi has that.
Yeah.
I
mean,
that's
we
where
heard all
you
about
need
him
boots.
putting 15 pounds on. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but if you go from 120 pounds to 140, who cares?
I hear
It
you.
doesn't.
I hear you.
He still is a tiny man.
Yeah.
Saying that, I'm going to look up his stats and
He's going to be like fucking 6'1", 230.
And I'm going to be like, I'm a piece of shit. He has a better body than me. Why did I talk smack on him? I don't know. I love that you answered that question. Great one. I agree with you. I don't think you're going to take anybody off that fourth line. You're not going to cut anybody off of that.
I mean, Foligno's not going anywhere. They just signed him to an extension.
And I'm the biggest Freddie Gaudreau fan in the world.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know what it is about him. And people, that's the best part about Freddie is nobody hates him.
No.
But nobody loves him.
Yeah.
I genuinely love him.
He's just a little rat. Him and Hartman are just little rats.
It's
out
funny.
There. It's
but
awesome.
He's just so solid on both sides of the puck. He does. I love those players that do the underrated bits to get stuff accomplished. Boldy is one where he gets the credit on it. I think it was in the Toronto game. He did his little short side snipe right by Samsonov's ear. My God.
Yeah.
Do you know the one thing that like people talk about the shot was unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
But what we need to focus in on is the same thing we saw in game one, where he did that little shimmy shake, fed it up to the point, and then was it the slap shot of the point? That was Faber's first goal.
Yeah, Faber's goal. Yep.
Boldy did a little shimmy, fed it up to him. It created space for him to make that. I mean, obviously it's a pass to the point, so it's not difficult, but he created the space to draw that player off of him. The key piece with that Samsonov goal is if you watch it back, he did a little shimmy, which froze the goaltender, which gave him the ability to snipe that past the guy's ear.
That was
just
a
whiz it.
wonderful shot.
Sick shot. And like he didn't score in the Montreal game, but he was a key piece in that one. I'm going to stop with this joke. It's stupid.
Well, Boldy's out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's out. Never mind. I literally just said it like 3 minutes ago, too.
Oh, my God.
Tough go. This is where we get into our, I think we're going to do stick tap, stick lap.
taps.
That seems like the best
Stick
one.
taps.
You want to start with your stick tap?
Yeah, my stick tap. Many of you have probably seen it. I'm going to pull up the name so I don't completely butcher them. It was an AHL fight between Manitoba and Calgary. It was Jeff VL and Alex Gallants.
Oh, my
And it
God.
was all gas, no brakes. There wasn't a lick of defense.
No.
These dudes just straight up teed off on each other for 20 seconds.
Straight rock'em sock'em robots.
It was rocking each other.
Great fight.
And then finally they went down and it was like, holy shit.
That's where I hope that the NHL, and I know it's going to, and that's what's going to suck, is the fact that they are going to transition away from the physical side of the game. You're not going to see that stuff as often in probably within the next 10 years. You may not even see fights anymore.
Yeah.
But you see shit like that, and you're like, this needs to stay. This is what makes hockey so much fun.
my
When someone gets hurt, obviously you're like, damn, we don't want that. That
Right.
sucks. It's part of it. It's the risk that you take. But when you get two tough boys just hucking them, oh, and I'm going to cut over this with the clip as well, too. The fight is out of this world. If you haven't seen it, look up the names, check it.
There wasn't even any feeling out. It was just kind of like, okay, they locked in and boom. I
You
like
had your
Rock'em Sock'em
initial
robots.
grab, and then they just let them fly.
Just let 'em
right
fly.
after right after right after right. No hand switching either. So no, like you said, no defense. And what we mean by that is nobody tried to duck it. Nobody tried to switch and go southpaw. They were just like, this is the situation. I'm going to throw as much as I can. Respect to those two boys. Sick fight.
I'm pretty sure it was the Jets and obviously the Flames AHL team. So
Have you ever been in a fight in hockey?
No.
It's,
We did have a brawl when we played Dodge County in high school.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, it wasn't like a fight, but, I mean, the boys were throwing them with the mitts on, but...
Did I ever tell you about my nose? Like how, I've broken my nose twice
No.
in a fight, and I fought the same guy twice. This might be the best spot to tell this story since we don't have a guest, right?
Yeah.
We go up, opening face-off. I'm nervous as all hell. I believe it was my first game, if not mistaken. I'd been scratched, and I was scratched a ton. But we got up to the face-off, and I hear from the right side of me, hey, do you want to go? I'm like, hell yeah, this is what I was brought in for. We got to do this. I don't have a choice. But then I did this. It's like comic style. So if you're not watching on YouTube, I'm gonna try to explain what I did. I'm facing forward. I hear out of my right ear, "Do you want to go?" Because I'm playing on offhand right side wing. I'm like, yes, let's do this. And I go like this, and I go, "Oh no, thank you." And the guy's like, "All right, I'll talk to you later." All right, sounds good, man.
Not off the draw.
Quick 30-second shift. We didn't have the green light either. Quick 30-second shift, off. I don't play for another like 10, 15 minutes because fourth line, dog shit. I don't even know why I was on the opener. Anyways, we get to a point, one of our guys gets hit from behind, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, now I don't have a choice. I have to go.
Yeah.
It was one of our small guys. So
Yeah.
I was like, I have to go. Fought him. Couldn't get my glove off. We were wearing Bauer like 30s, 40s at the time,
Sure.
so really tight mitts. And even now, I wear 4-roll glove because I want them off quick. I don't fight now, but it's just my preference.
It's for the bit, you know.
So I couldn't get my glove off. Dummied, broken nose immediately. I get back, get that all fixed up. We play the guy 2-3 weeks later.
Okay.
He asked me, "What do you think? You want to go again?" I'm like, "Yeah, redemption time. I don't have a choice. I have to fight this guy." He breaks my nose a second time.
Jesus Christ.
We made him again in playoffs. Like, what do you think? Do you want to go? You want to go round 3? Because the guy knew me. I'm like, no, I'm good. I learned my lesson. He goes, respect. And then we just played our game. No fights, no nothing. I was like, thank God. I didn't want to lose.
That's enough of that.
I'd look like Owen Wilson today if I took him on the third time.
No, that's enough, you know. After 2 times getting your nose broken by the same guy, it's like a third. Did he really have to ask a third time? Just the disrespect there.
I think he was like, this guy's stupid. This guy is
like,
dumb as
I
hell.
don't want to practice again here.
I have like a 79. I got John Bones Jones reach, and this guy is fighting like Mighty Mouse. Like that's
just massive.
He could probably just put his forehead on his hand on my forehead, and I just. And so, yeah, because of that, like my fighting career ended very quickly. I was over that.
It was over before it started.
Yeah, I love fights. I'm into it. It's one of my favorite things. I think it's one of the only reasons I was able to like continue to play, even if it wasn't very long.
Yeah.
But still, I love fighting. I want to keep it in the game. That's a great one. That fight was out of this world.
It should be in the game. It has what's the word? A need in the game. I mean, you need it in the game. That's how the players can police themselves.
Correct.
Sometimes the refs are missing shit all night long. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
And you know
accountability
what?
factor.
Yeah.
Huge.
Hey man, you've been a rat all night. Sorry, we gotta go.
We're just gonna let the Brad Marchands of the world just run around, do whatever the hell they want. No.
The do-hams and the doers.
Because then you're gonna turn hockey into something it's not, which
Yeah. is
is like what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna increase penalty calls, which is just gonna slow the game down, and people like the continuous action. And it's not soccer where it's like continuous action, yeah, but not really.
Yeah.
Like how many resets do you have to do?
Right.
It's 3-on-3 hockey, which is an argument I kind of hate it. Mm-hmm. But I love it more than the shootout because it both times just slows down the game until you get those quick instances of quick.
Well, right.
I don't know. I can complain about hockey all day.
My honorable mention for the stick tap was Revo and Foligno.
Great fight.
That was a great fight too. So.
And I didn't get to watch a whole lot of the Toronto game. Unfortunately, it was doing family stuff. Didn't get a chance to catch a ton. But what I did catch, I caught a glimpse of that fight. Phenomenal. It was so
great fight.
good. So, your take a lap.
Ooh, take a lap. St. Cloud State, the Huskies. Ooh. Yeah, you should take multiple laps. First of all, you're in the top 10. You're ranked. In the first series, you lose to St. Thomas, which, yes, the Gophers played them tight, but the Gophers won twice against St. Thomas. And then you go to Mankato, who literally had their coach leave, most of their recruits leave, most of their players leave, and you just get sewered back-to-back nights.
Yeah.
Just take a lap, dude.
Yeah.
You guys, and you know what? Their fans are the most insufferable fan base. You guys haven't won shit, and you guys talk the most. Like, I don't get it. Take a lap. You guys are dog shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say good luck this season.
No.
Because I want to see your fans sad.
Shout out to Tommies, too, for playing as well.
Dude, they are looking good. They are looking good. But still, it's their, third season?
Yeah.
In D1? They got some Minnesota boys. They got a few names that are decent, but if you're a top 10 team, you can't be losing to St. Thomas.
No, definitely not.
And then they only beat them 1-0 in the second game. It's like
not a great look.
Not a great look from the St. Cloud Huskies.
I'm going to dive into mine. My stick taps is going to be one that fuels champions and fuels the best players in the league. as well as other leagues as well too, and that is going to be Nickelback. Stick taps to Nickelback. I don't know if you caught this as well too, but Kirk Cousins obviously was like, we're playing Nickelback for the game. That's not what this is about. This is a hockey one. Connor McDavid came out as well too and said he's a huge fan. He goes, I know in Canada sometimes it's not trendy to like Nickelback, but I was never on that bandwagon. The songs are great, and they had a number of great childhood memories driving to the rink with my mom and dad, brother in the car and listening to them. I have great memories listening to Nickelback. Fuels champions. I mean, we ended up winning after a Nickelback game in Minnesota.
Wasn't Kirk Cousins Creed?
Oh, shit, was it Creed?
I think it was Creed.
Oh, I messed up.
But either way, it's
tomatoes,
the same.
tomatoes,
No, it's
right?
the same bit, though.
It's butt rock is what it's called.
It's the same bit.
But petition to change the Minnesota Wild goal song to a Nickelback song. Which one would you pick?
Oh, my God.
Man, just Rockstar.
Dude, Rockstar would be... I like Nickelback, honestly. I don't mind Nickelback. Nickelback's not terrible, but they are terrible in concert.
Cut the clip. Cut the clip. That's the one we're putting out there.
They're terrible in concert, and that's not even an argument.
We're gonna have to do a Nickelback goal song draft on one of these episodes as well too. Just only Nickelback bangers, 3 tracks.
Obviously, it's Rockstar. That would be the number one of one.
Yeah, but if you think about it from a goal standpoint, that sounds like shit. Like if you're like, we all just wanna be a big rock star.
It's fucking better than Nashville's goal song.
What do they got? I remember.
I like it.
This.
I love it. I want some more of it. It's terrible. It's so bad.
Should just do honky tonk badonka donk. I'd be into that.
I'd be into that.
That'd be
way
great.
More.
They got hot dudes in there. That'd play it well.
Well, see, you're not gonna use Photograph.
Yeah, that's probably the worst of them all. I bet you if we asked Cam, he probably couldn't name, like, he's not here, but 19-year-old Cam couldn't name a Nickelback track. I'd be shocked if he even knew who the hell they were. He'd be like, the one from the Spider-Man movie. I think he was like 3 at that time. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyways, take a lap. Nickelback is back, by the way, baby. Big time. If Connor McDavid listens to it, you should listen to it. Take a lap. It's actually going to be the Minnesota Wild centers. We have been struggling. I looked it up as well, too. This is prior to the Montreal game. To keep this in mind, Eriksson Ek is sitting at 43%. Rossi is sitting at 42%. Dewar, shockingly, 53%.
Well, and that's not a good sign that your fourth-line center is your best face-off guy.
Even Freddie coming in at 42%. Pretty low across the board. We actually have the 5th worst face-off percentage in the entire
It's been a theme,
NHL.
hasn't it, for like years now. We just are bad.
We just don't have a number 1 center, and it's always been a problem. We were hoping last year that Ek was going to be able to step up and fill that role. Everyone loves Ek, so this isn't a knock whatsoever on him at all.
He's a perfect 2C.
100%.
Perfect.
But you
2C.
don't have the 1C. And I don't even know, but that's the problem is your number 1 centers, because of how crucial and how important they are to the game, you're not going to get one without getting rid of an arm and a leg.
Yeah, it's
you
unfortunate.
can
That's
hope
why,
to develop
That is
one.
why. I mean, this kind of backtracks on my wild take. That is why Billy G hasn't pulled the trigger in the past couple of years. He's like, I got a good prospect base.
Yes.
I'm 15 mil against the cap, and I'm still getting 100 points a year.
Yeah, just
so why do I need to... Why not wait and see what you got with some of these prospects and then dangle them out, you know? Like, you're not just going to dangle out Hunter Height and Riley Height. You're not dangling those guys right now, especially after the start of the season for the Height boys. I mean...
Yeah, let them cook in junior. They're killing it,
They
by the
are
way, too.
killing it right now.
So-
What is it, Red Deer?
Yeah.
They're fucking good, man.
Yeah,
very good.
So Wild centers, tough look for them. It's definitely something that needs to be improved on. I imagine the game against Montreal, we will see a bump in that one because Montreal's not in a great spot right now. So I'm hoping we see those percentages come up. It's the overreaction bit though too. Like,
well, it's an issue.
yes and no.
It's an
exactly.
issue.
It is an issue because it's overreacting because the numbers are low through 2 games.
Right.
But it's also not because we've seen this pattern and we know these players. Besides maybe Rossi, you could argue we don't quite know what he is in the NHL. But
It's killed us in the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's killed us in the playoffs.
And that's the key piece in this one is you need a true number 1 center in order to be successful in the NHL. Is there a team that you can think of in the recent, cup runs or anything like that didn't have a true number 1 center? Florida had a miracle run last year. They had Barkov as their top guy who was continuously ranked as the most underrated centerman in the NHL.
Think about it, not really, dude.
Yeah, I can't think
of a single team.
I'm even trying to think of teams that even haven't made playoff runs. Do they have a number 1 center? And nobody's coming to mind.
No one jumps out at me right now, but you watch last year's series against the Stars, and we're going to bring it up again and again and again. Their power play, the Stars' power play, why were they successful? Because they won the first draw, got a good look, and they would score. I mean, half of those goals happened like that on the power play. And
puck gets out of the zone, you're eating at least 15 seconds, at least.
And then you're making them re-enter the zone, and that's where the Wild aren't terrible on the penalty kill. We're able to kind of stuff them at the line a little bit and make it tough for them. It's when you win a face-off and you let them just set up.
Yeah,
that can't happen.
Even if you stuff it in the neutral zone, that wall, that little barrier that they put up across the blue line, you're still dumping and chasing and hoping you win those corner battles as well too.
And we got strong guys.
We do.
We got good defensemen.
We definitely do. Which I don't know, it makes it tough. But you're right. Face-off percentage, we need to see a jump on that one. The problem is we can't add anything. We can't do anything besides just hope and pray that it just picks up.
1,000 pucks of practice.
Yeah,
centers in there. And let's go.
Do the Pavelski bit where you're just batting down pucks in front of the net, but instead it's just face-off draws, even if it's against nobody.
God, just Pavelski still good. Man.
I would love to see them how many sticks if you gave the Minnesota Wild face-off battles 1,000 pucks. How many twigs do you think they go through? Because centers, that's one of the things that people don't know about. I even in beer league won't take face-offs.
Well, yeah, because you're leaning on that and it's boom, boom.
I even tell people I'll play center if you want me to. I'm not gonna try on the. We're gonna lose it, and I'm fine with that because I'm not gonna break a twig. I don't have the deep pockets to sustain this, let alone at an NHL level.
Expensive.
Yeah,
holy shit, our twigs is expensive right now.
Anyways, we're going to take a quick little break here. We'll give you a commercial feed here, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the Minnesota Wild, give our predictions for this upcoming season, or upcoming week, as we take on the LA Kings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Stay tuned. Do you want to represent merchandise for your favorite Minnesota sports team? Well, you head over to 10,000 Takes shop today. Even if you don't like us, even if you don't love us, check out some of the designs we have in store today. Head over to 10ktakesmn.com. Check out our blogs. Check out our shop. Make sure you check out us in general. This is a terrible ad read. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. Go to the shop right now. This microphone's loud. Go. All right, well, that was a terrible ad read. We should fire that guy. Straight up. He shouldn't be doing ad reads anymore. Time to get rid of him. Put out the post we're going to hire on. See if we can get ourselves a new ad reader. Because
how many applications do you think we'd get for that?
Just to read ads?
Yeah.
Unpaid, no ads, or just to read 2 ads an episode. 100 at least applications. I think people
you'll get some merch.
People just want a taste of the light. I would love to do that. I want to do a voice battle with a few people. See who's got the better ad. I have a great ad read voice, but I get jumbled brained and I get marble mouthed.
It's been a long day though, so I mean, we get it.
If I just write this stuff out, I'll be okay. But I just don't do that.
I can't do that either. It's like every episode we talk about. Okay, we're doing this, this, and this.
Yep.
And I'm just like, okay. I start some notes. I'm like, I don't need to take notes. We're talking Wild hockey.
It's easy, guys. Everybody can do it.
Come on.
But let's dive into, speaking of easy, let's dive into the Wild schedule this upcoming week. We want to talk to you about the fact that the Minnesota Wild are taking on the LA Kings, and then on Saturday, we have ourselves the Columbus Blue Jackets. Hit you with some stats, Zooch. This is important. The Minnesota Wild, first off, we're going to go into a Cam Talbot revenge game potentially as well, too.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Kevin Fiala potential revenge game as well. But it'd be great. It'd be sweet, sweet poetry if Fleury was a net for that game because of the Talbot situation.
Yeah.
But I imagine we're going to see Gus because we wanted to show them that we're simply a better team. You got to capitalize on wins early in the season when you can.
And those two were traded for each other. So you gotta start them against each other.
It would be
let's
great.
Talk about how bad of a trade that was. Holy
That was terrible. Let me hit with this real quick, just really fast. Minnesota Wild actually since 2020 are 11-6 against the LA Kings. So we have their number a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
As well, too. Obviously, Fiala plays out of his mind. He's an absolute sicko when he plays against us because he just wants to show us where it's not.
I mean, when he played Nashville when he was in Minnesota, he'd usually dominate.
It's like a slighted ex-girlfriend who walks into the bar. We're the Wild. We're sitting at a bar. We obviously have Michelob Golden Light in our hands, and in comes Kevin Fiala with his whale tail, just flaunting it, walking past slow. 2 or 3 times he passes by because that's usually the amount of points he'll put up against us, and just smelling. You get that waft. You're like, what was that? What am I missing out on? And it's just hot ass Kevin Fiala whale tailing into the bar.
It just makes you sad. He was such a good player, but again, couldn't afford him.
And we talk about it as well too, having him play with Boldy. Can you imagine the numbers? What it would have been like had he had we been able? It's not that if he would have stuck around this, had we been able to afford him to,
he would have stuck around.
He was a key piece in this Wild team. He was well loved in Minnesota Wild, so it stinks to see him have success elsewhere. I almost want him to fail miserably, so when cap money comes back, he's like, maybe.
Well, that's just why it makes it tough. That I believe the Blues playoff series the last time he played with the Wild.
I believe that's right.
That just sucks. Those 2 years with him. That's probably the window for the Wild. That was their window to make a little bit of a run, and they just couldn't get it done.
And now it's a matter of just holding on to the pieces for these next few years, and then hopefully having some prospects fill some of those gaps that we may have in this roster, and making a run with the young guns as well too.
I think what's key too is keeping them competitive, because you want those guys to come into a team where they're competing, and it's going to be what it's going to be like when they are able to sign some good players. And we should be competitive this year. It's early, but I don't know.
And of course, like, that's the thing is, like, we're coming up against the LA Kings team, who does have some aging veterans as well too. They do have some younger people that made their roster, but you have like the likes of Kopitar, you got the likes of Doughty still on this team as well too. The obvious talking point that we could go into, which has been hammered into the ground over the past few years, so I'm kind of sick of talking about it, is the Kaprizov versus Doughty thing, overpaid bit. Kaprizov has clearly taken advantage of Drew Doughty's
stupidity.
weaknesses?
It's just a dumb take. After 60 games in the league, you're going to pay him that money? It's like, buddy, you watched him. You know this guy. This guy's a great player.
I remember that interview just reemerged, and it was just like the next game, it was just Kaprizov just working him. Like, Doughty probably had maybe one of the worst games while still playing out. I think he still put up a point, which was like the worst part about that whole bit. But if you watch the rest of the game, it's like Kaprizov was dominant.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even close.
Well, it's just you don't poke the bear. You don't poke the bear. Kaprizov's one of the best players in the league, one of the best wingers in the league. You don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
Giving him that money, of course they're going to give him that money. He's our best player in franchise history. Like, what did he think was going to happen when he came over here? We were waiting 5 years for this guy.
Well, yeah, and they still have some pieces as well too that are a little bit scary. They obviously have Quinton Byfield as well too, which can I complain about something about him?
Okay.
I'm such an equipment snob. I think it plays a big factor into why I don't like specific players.
Sure.
Byfield is a Sherwood athlete. I hate that. Matthew Tkachuk, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Sherwood athlete.
But
I lost respect for him when he switched to Sherwood for some reason. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. I also think it plays into effect in my Rossi opinion as well too, because he's a true athlete.
You don't like True?
I don't like True.
Okay.
I love True goaltending pads. They're phenomenal. They're best out there. That's what they worked with Lefebvre to come up with, like, some of the best pads that existed out there. But True sticks, junk.
I like their gloves.
Yeah.
I actually bought a pair of Trues.
This is us just begging for a sponsorship. Warrior, hit us up. Just like a couple guys at a podcast.
Yeah.
Come do some. Hopefully we get out and actually do some hockey content this year on the ice.
Well, I'm hoping we actually get the team built too for a little
tourney action.
Beer league action. I don't know.
I'm all for that.
I feel like 10K. We've tried the softball bit. I don't think the softball bit is where we want to go in the future.
No.
We were terrible.
I don't even know if hockey is the bit. We were pretty terrible in that too. We have some bright spots.
We do.
Zane.
Zane's very. Wow. Yeah, he went off in that Scandia tournament.
Let's get Schmaltz up here while he's at it. Get the Live and Five guys up here.
Dude, okay, if we're showing up to that Scandia tournament this year, we got to bring.
You better be there.
Yeah, we got to bring Schmaltz, we got to bring Osmus, we got to bring Olsen. All three of those guys have got to be there. And then actually, we might make a run in that if
100%.
they're there. 100%.
And also, big talking point, going back to this LA Kings thing as well, too. One of the things I forgot about is they actually have Pierre-Luc Dubois. I forgot that he was in LA as well, too. Notorious whiner. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but holy shit, can you complain some more? It's tough. That's what LA feels like. It's like you're in the nicest spot probably you could be in the NHL. San Jose isn't as nice. Anaheim, you could argue. But LA, you're in the prime location, and they're just full of just whiny little bastards. Outside of Anze Kopitar. Kopitar has always been the most continuous, quiet, just get your job done, show up to work, do that stuff. Even Quick back in the day, which he's not their goaltender anymore, but even Quick back in the day was pretty whiny. Cam Talbot now, notorious whiner.
His wife whines quite a bit too. So they fit right in down there.
Sorry if you're listening to this. I'm not sorry. Actually, I take it back. But some things with
the reason he got traded.
Yeah.
We should be thanking them. We got Gus out of that deal because she whined.
Could you argue Kevin Fiala's lady whiner? I remember people made a huge deal about her doing that. I don't know if it was a TikTok because I'm old or whatever it was, where she was wearing the Wild gear and then threw on the LA gear and was finally feel good or something stupid that. People dig into the stuff. I'm going to say this first and foremost. If you're digging into players' wives and girlfriends and like screenshotting their stories on Instagram and whatnot and trying to make like bits and content out of that, you're kind of a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Straight up. You're 100%. A weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, get another hobby, please.
It's weird.
Because I remember seeing that. I'm like, who gives a shit? He's gone. Like, she's rocking. Who cares? It doesn't bother me. Even the Kelly Talbot, to be honest, stuff, Kelly, right? Even the Talbot stuff didn't phase me nearly as much.
No.
It's like, who gives a shit? That doesn't bother me.
If anything, you should be thanking him.
Yeah,
right?
please.
I mean, we got.
It turned out to work. Yeah, and I was probably the most critical of Gus as well, too. And he turned out to play out of his mind. I did say, asterisk on this one, I was critical of Gus, but I did say that he has had spots of brilliance, was always playing on terrible teams where he's coming into a solid defensive core, which, by the way, shout out to Jonas Brodin, just playing under the radar like he normally is. Tough games from some of the boys in the Toronto game, but that was expected. It's exactly what we talked about. They had the upside in offense, upside in defense. Goaltending was one where I was like, we can win this one. Yeah. Didn't end up being the case because I didn't anticipate how truly powerful their offense was compared to ours.
Yeah, it was the bottom four defensemen were just kind of brutal. We love Midzi, huge Midzi supporters, but he had a bad game, and it'll happen.
The thing that concerns me and the thing that I hope Russo has put out something today on Thursday that right now it was listed as having Merrill and Goligoski playing on that third pairing, but then Goligoski lower body injury, so Mermis, I'm assuming, is filling into that third spot because Addison is jumping up with Brodin, which is great. That's what it should have been this entire time. If not, Addison, I think they're both righties, but Addison with no teeth. Holy shit. Midzi. I would have loved to see Addison and Midzi because Midzi can play that shutdown defensive role, but him playing with Brodin will give him so much freedom to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
I need to see something from Addison soon. Like, I get he's a power play guru. Great on the power play, but my God, is he bad in the defensive zone?
What's your prediction after this game? Where do you think we end up? LA Kings versus Minnesota Wild?
I think it's going to be... It's at home.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's an
it's in LA, I'm sorry.
It's in LA?
Wait, no, it's at home. It's Thursday. At home.
I think it is a shootout loss.
Ooh.
Shootout loss. They got more dogs in the shootout. I think it's going to be close. I really do. I think Gus stands on his head. Like I said, it's Gus versus Talbot, more than likely. I don't know exactly who else they got in LA.
I'm going to go real specific with mine.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Minnesota Wild scored to go ahead with 5 minutes left in the game. And then they hold out, shut down as they pull off the win versus the LA Kings and move to 12-6 at home against the LA Kings.
I hope so. I can get on board. I just think it's going to be a tight one.
I was originally going to say 3-on-3, but once again, I think I agree with you. If you have Boldy playing, I think 100%. I like our odds in the shootout. I like our odds in overtime as well, too. Without him, he's such a key piece in that one.
Yeah, and you can lock on Kaprizov.
Yep.
Or who else is going to beat you in overtime? I mean, yes, we have guys who can beat you, but he's the guy.
Freddie Gaudreau.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Hey, don't sleep on him in the shootout.
shootout.
I guess we still got Freddie, Kaprizov, Zuccarello. That's not a horrible. It's not a horrible shootout lineup.
I think we're gonna have to start keeping like graphics on our not score predictions, on our predictions of wins, losses, and try to see who has the best record at the end of the year. Because this is the first time we were in agreement. I think all of last episode with Seth. Now I think we're actually have a disagreement here on how it's going to go.
I think
we might have to do that. Keep our own records on the records. That might be a confusing graphic.
Yeah. Well, the next game that's played is it's going to be a lot less talking.
100%. Yeah, Columbus coming up on Saturday as well too.
Who is bad?
Yeah. Stats though.
Okay.
Minnesota Wild are 5-1 since 2020. They actually have won the last 3 in a row. But key piece in this, Fantinelli. Fangio?
Vic Fangio?
What's a pasta? It sounds like.
But no, their goalie is I think another X factor too because he had a down year last year. He played the Wild very well.
Yes.
He made like 48 saves in the game against us at the X, and then after the game he basically came out and said, "I love playing in Minnesota."
Is it Merzlikins? Is that
Merzlikins?
That's it. Yeah,
it still is, right?
I believe so.
It's got to be. I think he was under contract one more season. But that's kind of where I was like, before they extended Gus, I was like, damn, if we lose out on Gus, maybe that's a guy they take a little flyer on for a year. But obviously they signed Gus, and Wallstead should be ready to come up into that backup role, and Fleury's gone. So, sorry, Elvis, doesn't look like you're going to be playing in the arena you love to play in.
And that's the thing is, outside of the rest of their team, like I have a soft spot for Jack Roslovic. I don't know what it is about him as a player. He keeps getting himself in situations where he finds himself on the third, fourth line, or even scratch for that matter. He's a player that I was pushing for a year or two ago, where I was like, I would love to have
he
him
would have
in
been a
here.
fit.
He would have been great depth, like just kind of a gamer for the Minnesota Wild roster, but that ended up.
Gaudreau still there?
Gaudreau is still there. Yep, they still have some pieces. So Gaudreau, Boone Jenner is still there as well too. Fantelli obviously is there. And then they still have Patrick Laine. So they still have people that can shoot the puck. That Alexandre Teixeira, I think
I feel like they haven't meshed.
No.
They haven't meshed. They just kind of got all these guys.
Yeah.
they got guys.
Where I think they fall apart is on defense. Yeah. I don't like their defense whatsoever, and that's where I think the Minnesota Wild can take advantage here. They still have Goodbranson as one of their defensemen. And then on top of that too, you have something called Jake Bean is in their line. They still have Werenski, they still have Damon Severson, but I didn't like Damon Severson in New Jersey either. I don't think he was great.
And he's kind of a head case from I don't want to give out
Breaking
sources.
news.
I don't want to give out sources, but I heard from a very good source that played on the Devils. He is not a very good teammate and is kind of a head case.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Just kind of complains and wants his play time and kind of focuses on me. Not giving out any names on who said it, but
Dev. I have a soft spot for Johnny Gaudreau, and I feel terrible that he keeps ending up in these terrible situations. But he also puts himself in these terrible situations.
He put himself in this one.
His signing on this one was if you didn't remember this one or look back into it, he essentially, to summarize in the shortest Reddit quick version that you could possibly think of, he was essentially just I'm waiting on Philadelphia. He's like, after 5 minutes passed by, he's like, fuck it. What's the contract we have on the table? Columbus? Cool. Sign there.
Ohio, man.
On top of that, too, it was less money than he was offered in Calgary as well, too.
Which...
Not by much, but it was still less money. Yeah.
You're willingly going to go play hockey in Ohio?
That's one of the questions that the It's a Bit boys ask all the time is, would you willingly move to Ohio? Or would you... it was if you taken all expenses paid vacation to Ohio? No, I'm out. I'm good.
I did get one. I used to work on the road, and we had a job in Ohio, so everything was paid for, food, everything.
And you still
are terrible.
Yeah,
it just. What do we do? Oh well, there's fields everywhere.
Run
around.
Is there a state you would hate to go to more than Ohio? I can't think of one.
See, no, because my mind immediately went to Maine, Vermont, and all those states, but it's beautiful up there.
I don't think I have appeal in Georgia. I think Georgia's out for me.
You know what? Yeah, Atlanta, I have no...
You put the Thrashers back there? Maybe.
Okay.
Atlanta jumps
fair.
Then I'm back up. I'm back in there.
Atlanta's just... Yeah, Georgia. Nah.
Doesn't have any appeal to me. Atlanta is that's their main city. That's all I got. I'm out.
Yeah.
But anyways, they go into Columbus. They end up taking them on. This is one where I can see ourselves coming away with a win. I don't think we need to give a whole lot of a deep dive into this one, besides the fact that the Wild have their number.
I like how you said that. They come out with a win. And it was you emphasized win because, yes, I think they win this game by more than 2 goals.
Yeah. So we both are on board with this one here. Obviously, lock it in Minnesota Wild. I'd be interested to see what the numbers are at for this one as well, too, from a betting standpoint. I'm all for that one, but I don't know. Stay tuned before the games as well, too, because we will continue to do Sticks in the Middle, another one of our bits as well, too, where we end up feeding you. I'm 0 for 1 so far because I stink.
Yeah, the Tkachuk pick was...
Well, for the Tkachuk pick wasn't me.
Oh,
I had Evan Rodriguez to have no points whatsoever, and then I said Kaprizov to score a goal.
Yes.
When the smart play was for him to get an assist, because it was in the first 2 games for Cap, he ends up pulling off. He was no goals, but 5 assists through 3 game 2s or whatever.
Yeah.
He played sick.
I think the only one goal he had was the overtime goal in LA, his first season. That's the only one he scored, because I remember he just went on a little kind of stagnant, he was getting assists, just not scoring goals. And everyone was like, well, he can't shoot the puck. Is he going to score goals? And everyone's like,
oh no, we have another passer, which has been the Minnesota mantra for the past 5 years.
They didn't even give him 4 games. They're just yep, look at this. Yeah. I think it was a Teneby on their. He's like, I just don't know if he's got the scoring touch. I think he's passing too much. It's dude,
chill out.
It's 5 games in.
To be fair, we had that. Coyle wasn't a shooter. Granlund wasn't a shooter. Koivu wasn't a shooter. We had nothing but passers for the longest time. And then
why do you think they got bounced in the playoffs every year? We didn't have any scores.
So I guess we could take that take with a little bit of a grain of salt. But yeah, Minnesota Wild, as I said, I think they're going to come away with 2 wins here. Thinking back on it, I don't like the fact that I'm saying 2 wins because I'm usually a pessimistic person on this pod. Whereas you are saying 1 loss versus LA and then a win versus Columbus is where you can see us.
Yeah, but they get the point against LA.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, great point. Yeah, since which that Minnesota Wild climbing up on the rankings according to your Wild Takes podcast. Any other points? Anything you want to get off your chest before we head out for the day?
I'm glad we have a weaker schedule to start the season.
Yes,
because
thank God.
We are injured. We're battered already. We're a game in, 2 games in, 3 games in.
Yeah,
we are battered.
And you got to capitalize on these early wins as quick as you can. That's the tough part. Is like I want to give out the point like you got to get the wins early, but as we saw from the St. Louis Blues Cup run, Stanley Cup eventually winning, as they were the worst team in January and came back. So it's
just don't put yourself in a hole.
Essentially, don't give out analytic takes ever because they can bite you and they ask for someone could just hit you with stats. Oh, you can't go into playoffs as the 8th seed. LA Kings win the Stanley Cup. There's so many like different things like that. So don't give out takes at all. Don't be a company that gives out opinions. Just state facts. Minnesota Wild win 2 games, and congrats on the big 5-2 win versus Montreal Canadiens. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wild Takes. We'll be back next week. Don't know if we got a guest. We'll see if we can line one up as well, too, but we'll be back to your normal schedule, uploaded on Tuesdays as well, too. We want to thank you for tuning in. Make sure you head over to 10ktakesmnshop.com, as well as, actually, that's not even our website. Go to the 10K Takes shop in general, and then hopefully, if you're at a Minnesota Wild game, send us photos of you guys rocking the merchandise. We want to see that stuff. And on top of that, too, meet us at the games. We want to drink beers with you. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.